Imagine, if love isn't just a fleeting feeling, maybe a passionate fire that sparks and, well, all too often burns itself out.
Right.
What if it's something far more fundamental? A deep, almost primal force, so intricately woven into our very being that it defies our neat logical categories, ignores superficial physical appearances, and profoundly reshapes who we are from the inside out.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah, and can you truly fall for someone you've never even met? Or perhaps someone who exists only in the fleeting landscape of your dreams? These aren't just the stuff of modern romance novels, are they?
Not at all. Not at all. These profound, often perplexing questions about the very essence of love, the true nature of attraction and the depths of human devotion that have resonated across millennia and cultures.
Absolutely.
It's really a testament to how central love is to the human experience, regardless of the era.
Absolutely. And today we're embarking on a fascinating deep dive into a remarkable book that grappled with these very questions over 1,000 years ago.
Those should be good.
It's called The Dove's Neck Ring on Love and Lovers. It was penned by the brilliant Andalusian scholar Ibn Hazm.
A classic text.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this isn't just some dusty old book. It's an astonishingly timeless exploration of affection, passion, and what it truly means to be devoted to another soul.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack his unique, often surprising insights, tracing the subtle, almost imperceptible beginnings of attraction all the way to the profound, sometimes unsettling transformations that love can unleash.
Exploring the hidden pathways of the heart, you could say.
Precisely, guided by a master observer. But let's really unpack this. Ibn Hazm, right from the outset, he tackles the very essence of love, and he immediately tells us it's, well, an ineffable force.
Right. Hard to pin down.
Exactly. He argues that love is simply too subtle, too grand, too complex to be fully captured or contained within mere words or neat definitions. Its true reality, he insists, can only be understood through direct lived experience. You quite literally have to feel it, to suffer it perhaps, to know it.
Yeah, you can't just read about it in a dictionary.
No, it's not something you can intellectualize your way into understanding. He also makes a crucial point, almost a defense, that love in itself is not an act prohibited by religious law or social custom.
That's important.
Yeah, it's a natural, perhaps even divinely ordained human condition.
And this is truly fascinating because it fundamentally challenges so many, contemporary views of love.
How so?
Well, views which often try to reduce it to a simple emotion or, a series of chemical reactions in the brain, or even just a conscious choice.
Right, like you just decide to love someone.
Exactly. But Ibn Hazm positions it as something far more profound, almost a spiritual or existential state. He suggests that trying to box love into a dictionary definition is like trying to describe the taste of, say, a mango to someone who's never had one.
Ah, okay. Good analogy.
Any description, no matter how eloquent, will inevitably fall short of the actual experience.
Makes sense.
This pushes us to move beyond mere intellectual understanding. It suggests true comprehension only emerges from a raw, lived encounter with love. It's a radical idea even today, often lost in our search for easy definitions.
And he doesn't just theorize in a vacuum, does he? The book grounds these ideas in surprising historical echoes.
Oh, absolutely. He provides vivid examples of incredibly powerful historical figures, caliphs, their sons, high-ranking officials who experience profound love.
Really? Like who?
Well, he mentions prominent figures like the Umayyad caliphs, Abd al-Rahman al-Nasir, his son al-Hakam, Hisham al-Muwayyad, and even the powerful regent Abd al-Malik ibn Abi Amir.
Wow, these are major players. It makes you wonder how love could sway such titans of power.
Indeed. Consider the story of Abd al-Malik ibn Abi Amir. The book describes his absolute obsession with a woman from Jabayan.
An obsession?
Yes, his love for her was so intense, so all-consuming, that it actually led him to make a momentous politically charged decision. He married her after a tribal leader was killed.
Whoa, so love dictated politics.
It seems so. This wasn't some casual infatuation that could be put aside for affairs of state. It dictated a major life choice for a man who wielded immense power, a man whose every decision shaped an empire.
That really underscores love's capacity to override even the most rational political calculations.
Definitely. And then there's the equally compelling account of Maimun ibn Ayyash.
What's his story?
The book states he loved a slave girl so deeply, so intensely, that he believed she would bear his heir.
He believed it.
Yes, despite the fact that he had no children at the time.
Yeah.
This speaks volumes about the power of his conviction, fueled by love.
Wow. And did she?
Well, later, his son Nizar actually went on to claim divinity, which while a separate matter hints at the kind of intense, almost mystical attachments that could form.
It's incredible. What does it truly say about the nature of love when even rulers, with all their immense power, their vast wealth, and their worldly concerns, are so utterly subject to its whims, making decisions that seem illogical, even reckless from a political or social standpoint?
It speaks to love's undeniable, almost irresistible force, doesn't it? Its capacity to transcend social hierarchy, personal ambition, and even the strictures of societal expectation.
Yeah, it's a potent reminder that even the most powerful individuals are, at their core, still human.
Exactly. Susceptible to the same profound and often irrational emotional experiences as anyone else.
So this fundamental human vulnerability, even at the highest levels, leads us where?
It leads directly into Ibn Hazm's core theory, the connection of souls. He truly believes that love, in its truest form, what he terms ishq, or passionate love, is fundamentally the union of separated parts of souls.
Separated parts.
Yes, souls that were once connected in the celestial realm before creation.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, it's not just a meeting of two individuals who happen to click,
No, much more than that.
but rather a profound reunion of something that was always meant to be whole, a destiny written before time itself. That's a powerful and deeply spiritual concept.
Precisely. He uses a beautiful and easily graspable analogy. He likens this spiritual connection to how physical forms naturally attract similar forms.
Like magnets.
Exactly. Or how a magnet inherently draws iron to itself. It's portrayed as an inherent tendency for to seek a cosmic pull towards completion.
Okay.
He even references the Quranic verse, "He it is who created you from a single soul and made therefrom its mate that he might dwell with her," suggesting that love is a divinely orchestrated mechanism for achieving tranquility and completion.
So it's not just about finding someone.
No,
It's about finding your other half in a pre-existent metaphysical sense.
you've got it. That's the core of his idea of issue.
That's a truly powerful idea. It instantly elevates passionate love beyond mere physical desire or social convenience, grounding it in something cosmic and eternal.
And he makes that distinction exceptionally clear, which is crucial for understanding his definition of true love. The book meticulously differentiates true ish from lesser forms of love or affection.
Lesser forms, like...
Which he says are based on superficial things like shared interests, kinship ties, or merely the desire for physical pleasure, shahwa, he calls it.
Okay, so the more common reasons people connect.
Right. These lesser forms, he argues, are temporary and inevitably fade away because their root is shallow and transient.
Makes sense.
But ish, rooted as it is in the indestructible soul, persists until death, impervious to superficial changes.
Wow.
Until death.
And he also highlights that true ish manifests in very specific, often distressing physical and mental symptoms: emaciation, profound sighing, deep melancholy.
Melancholy. Even madness.
Even a kind of madness or obsession, yes. Symptoms conspicuously absent in these other, more ephemeral forms of affection.
So it's a total transformation, almost like a profound illness born of this deep connection.
That's one way to look at it, certainly, a consuming state.
This concept of love as a soul reunion begs an immediate question, though.
If love is this inherent soul connection, this fundamental tendency for like to seek like, then why isn't it always reciprocal? Why do we so often experience the agonizing pain of unrequited love?
Ah, yes. The great paradox.
It seems to contradict the very nature of this cosmic pull, doesn't it?
That's a crucial and very insightful question, and Ibn Hazm addresses it head-on. He explains this by suggesting that some soul parts, while intrinsically linked, may be veiled or obscured by earthly attachments, imperfections, or even just the vicissitudes of fate.
Veiled, like hidden.
Exactly. These earthly coverings hinder their ability to fully sense or connect with their true counterpart. He extends his magnet analogy here, illustrating this beautifully.
How does the magnet analogy work here?
Just as a magnet's inherent power to attract iron can be diminished by impurities coating its surface, or by simply being too small to exert its full force,
Right.
so too can the soul's innate ability to connect be affected by its earthly form, its accumulated flaws, or the surrounding circumstances.
So our worldly concerns, our personal failings, or even just the limitations of our physical bodies can block the signal.
In his view, yes. They could obscure that inherent spiritual pull, preventing a full and reciprocal recognition.
So it's almost like a spiritual static or interference, preventing the signal from coming through clearly, even if the connection is theoretically there. That's a wonderfully descriptive way of putting it.
Exactly. And on top of that profound spiritual layer, the book also acknowledges the very tangible role of temperament and similarity in drawing people together.
So it's not just spiritual.
No, he brings in the practical side too. Ibn Hazm cites ancient Greek thinkers like Hippocrates and Plato, who suggested that individuals are inherently drawn to those with similar temperaments and character, finding comfort and recognition in likeness.
Okay, the idea that like attracts like.
Precisely. He even reinforces this with a powerful hadith. Souls are like conscripted soldiers. Those among them who recognize one another unite, and those among them who do not recognize one another differ.
Wow, conscripted soldiers. That paints a picture of souls, perhaps even unconsciously, identifying their kindred spirits from some primordial army.
Doesn't it? It adds this fascinating psychological and even sociological layer to his spiritual theory. It's a rich blend of innate spiritual connection and observable personality alignment.
Yeah, reinforcing that like attracts like idea on multiple levels, from the cosmic to the everyday. It's a truly holistic view, integrating both the seen and unseen aspects of human connection.
Which then brings him to discuss the crucial distinction between the superficial and the true in attraction.
Right. Beauty versus something else.
Exactly. He readily recognizes the initial pull of physical beauty, what he calls shahwa, or simple desire for pleasure.
Which is normal, of course.
Of course. But he asserts emphatically that true love, mahaba, transcends this superficial appearance. It's about discerning something much deeper beyond the fleeting physical form.
Okay.
An elusive something that makes the beloved unique, utterly irreplaceable, and profoundly indispensable. It's not just the physical vessel, but the essence within.
So what does this nuanced view mean for our modern understanding of love at first sight versus a slower, deeper connection that unfolds over time? We often glorify love at first sight, don't we?
We do, in stories, films.
As if it's the only authentic beginning. But Ibn Hazm seems to imply something far more profound and enduring. Is one more valid than the other in his view? And what exactly is that something he refers to beyond beauty?
Well, that's a perfect lead-in to his exploration of how love truly begins. For Ibn Hazm, while initial attraction might be sparked by beauty, the something is that unique resonance of the soul, that recognition of a missing piece.
Okay.
It's not just physical appeal, but a deeper, almost mystical pull toward complementarity.
Yeah.
And that's a great transition, because Ibn Hazm actually explores several surprising and often counterintuitive pathways to love. Some might even challenge our modern notions of how relationships form.
Okay, like what? One of the most unusual origins he discusses is falling for someone seen only in a dream. That sounds, well, fantastical.
Doesn't it? This chapter is titled Babman Ayab Min Al-Nam, Chapter on One Who Loves from a Dream.
Wow.
He recounts the poignant anecdote of a man named Abu Siri Ammar ibn Ziyad, who fell into a deep, melancholic love after seeing a girl only in a dream.
Just from a dream, really?
Yes. And despite Ibn Hazm's own attempts to reason with him, to tell him that it was merely a delusion, a figment of his sleeping mind.
Right, which sounds logical.
Ammar insisted he was genuinely, irrevocably in love with someone he had never physically met. He was consumed by this ethereal image.
Consumed how?
Even composing poetry about her, asking, was it the moon or the sun that rose? Who was she, whom my poetry longs for?
That's incredible.
This anecdote highlights the sheer, almost frightening power of imagination and the mind's profound ability to create an object of desire, regardless of physical reality.
It powerfully demonstrates how deeply our internal world, even our subconscious, can influence our deepest affections. Sometimes to our detriment, maybe.
Absolutely. It suggests that the soul's yearning can even project itself onto a dream figure, desperate perhaps to find its counterpart.
It's almost like the soul is reaching out, even in sleep, trying to find its predestined match, manifesting it in a dream.
That's a fascinating way to think about it.
Then there's love from description. Badman Ahab, Bill Wolf. Here, love can ignite purely through detailed descriptions of a person, even without a direct encounter.
Right.
This, he says, leads to intense longing, voluminous correspondence, and restless sleeplessness, which I must say, sounds quite familiar even today.
How so?
With our modern online dating profiles, maybe, where initial attraction is often based purely on text and images.
That's a great parallel. He views this foundation as potentially fragile, though. which is a crucial caveat.
Fragile, why?
The danger, he argues, is that the mental image created from the description may not align with the reality upon a physical meeting, leading to disappointment.
Ah, okay. The reality check.
Exactly. However, he notes that this pathway to love was particularly common among secluded women who, due to social constraints, might not have had other avenues for initial connection.
That makes sense in that context.
And he cites a compelling poem that defends this form of love. You who blame me for loving one my eye has not seen, has paradise ever been known without description?
Ooh, that's a brilliant defense. Using a religious concept to justify a very human experience.
Isn't it? Implying that faith in the unseen is not so different from love sparked by a description.
But the book also notes a crucial contrast, a potential pitfall.
Yeah.
Sometimes a real encounter dramatically contradicts the description, causing profound disillusionment.
Yeah.
Yet, intriguingly, other times the reality surpasses the description, affirming and even deepening the initial attraction.
He gives two personal anecdotes to illustrate this dual possibility. In one, he recounts developing an intense aversion to a man known only by description, an almost visceral dislike.
Based just on hearsay.
Exactly, only for a strong, unexpected friendship to blossom upon meeting him in person, proving the initial mental image entirely wrong.
Oh.
And in another, his friend, Abu Shakir Abdul Rahman, experienced a similar deep friendship with someone initially known only by description, where the reality confirmed and enriched the imagined bond.
So it can go either way.
It suggests that while the description can certainly spark the initial thought or prejudice, the true connection, or lack thereof, forms irrevocably in reality. It's a powerful lesson in not judging a book by its cover, or rather by its synopsis.
It makes you wonder how much of our initial feelings are projections. How do our minds truly fill in the gaps when we only have a description of someone, and how does that affect what we feel?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Is it purely idealization? Or is there a recognition of something deeper, a subconscious premonition of connection, even from a distance?
It's likely a complex mix of both an idealization of what we want to find, combined perhaps with that subtle recognition of potential compatibility, that soul connection, if it's truly there. Next, he explores love from a single glance. Bab man ahab min nazra wahida. This is the phenomena of falling instantly in love at first sight.
Ah, the classic trope.
And he categorizes it into two distinct types. The first type is loving an unknown, where the person is seen, but their identity, their name, their background, their social standing remains completely unknown.
Okay, this sounds exactly like something out of a classic romantic movie, a fleeting moment that changes everything.
It certainly does, and Ibn Hazm provides a truly heart-wrenching example. He recounts the story of the famous poet Harun ibn Yusuf al-Ramadi.
What happened to him?
Harun sees a young girl by a spice market in Cordoba, just a glimpse, and falls hopelessly, irrevocably in love.
Just like that.
Just like that. He is so consumed that he follows her, only for her to reveal that she is a slave and, heartbreakingly, cannot be his.
Oh, no.
The poet then spends years lingering near the very place he saw her, composing mournful poetry, lost in the anguish of that single, never-to-be-repeated encounter.
But he never finds her again.
Never finds her again. His poem beautifully captures this longing. My eye reaped heartache, so my heart cries from the anguish of thought.
That's incredibly powerful, a truly tragic love story born from a single glance.
It speaks to the power of instantaneous, overwhelming attraction that can leave a lasting scar.
The second type he describes is loving a known person, instant attraction to someone whose identity is already known to you.
Right.
This type, while quick to begin, is also noted by Ibn Hazm to be quicker to fade, unlike the true, enduring-ish he champions. So it implies a hierarchy even within love at first sight.
That seems to be his view. He provides an anecdote of a young scribe who falls instantly in love with a high-ranking lady he sees from his window.
Uh-oh. Dangerous?
Very. Their ensuing secret correspondence, full of peril and passion, is described as being more delicate than a sword's edge, highlighting the intense danger and exquisite tension of their clandestine affair. But again, while it illustrates intense instant attraction, it reinforces Ibn Hazm's point about the potentially ephemeral nature of this kind of love, distinguishing it from deeper, soul-rooted connections.
But then, and this is where Ibn Hazm really lays out his philosophy, right? He presents what he considers the most enduring and genuinely authentic form of love.
Exactly. Love by persistence and long acquaintance. Or bab man la yuhibu iya mutawala.
So, love that grows over time.
Precisely. This love, he argues, develops slowly, almost imperceptibly, through extensive observation, deep familiarity, and true intimacy. This is explicitly his preferred view of how true lasting love truly takes root.
Yes, and this is where his concept of love being a slow burn truly crystallizes, isn't it?
Absolutely. He refers to the concept of the soul's initial, almost innate resistance to new things, suggesting that love that forces its way in slowly, gradually, over a prolonged period, becomes deeply, inextricably embedded.
Like roots taking hold.
Exactly. It's not a sudden shock, but a gradual saturation. It's a love that builds brick by brick, foundation stone by foundation stone, not lightning strike by lightning strike. For him, this slow process ensures true durability and depth.
So this raises a crucial question for our modern, often impatient romantic sensibilities. It's true, enduring love always a slow burn, as Ibn Hazm suggests. Or can it genuinely strike like lightning and still be deep and utterly enduring? Can love really be both instantaneous and profound?
That's the debate, isn't it? For Ibn Hazm, the slow burn is the truly authentic and reliable path to Ish. He explicitly states his profound belief that true love does not blossom from a single glance, but takes root deeply and fundamentally over a prolonged period of shared experience and observation.
He's quite firm on that.
Very. He goes so far as to personally claim he has never forgotten a love that developed over time, and that he never tires of such a bond, a bold statement for anyone.
Yeah.
This slow cultivation, he argues, leads to a bond that is never sated, always desiring more union.
And then he makes a powerful and almost moral declaration, a definitive rejection of dual love.
Yes, he asserts that the human heart, much like the mind that truly knows only one creator, can truly love only one person with Ish.
Only one.
Only one with that depth of passionate love. To claim to love two, he says, is a profound falsehood, a deception born of superficial desire, not soul connection.
That's a strong, almost uncompromising stance on the fidelity of the heart. He even writes in a powerful poetic couplet, "The claimant of two loves has lied in the principles."
It really emphasizes the singular, all-consuming nature of true love for him.
He vividly illustrates this by describing a noble young man.
Right, the one with the slave girls.
Yes, who, despite his initial aversion, would quickly grow attached to them out of fleeting desire, only to then weary of them just as quickly.
And Ibn Hazm attributes this pattern to mere lust, which, being easily satisfied, is thus fleeting and cannot endure.
So this anecdote perfectly encapsulates his argument. True love isn't about fleeting satisfaction, but about an unquenchable, ever-deepening connection that withstands the test of time and familiarity.
One like transient desires.
Exactly.
Right.
Finally, we arrive at love for an unchanging quality. Babman aheb sifatun lam yastasin badaha gairaha mima yukalifiha. This sounds complex.
It's fascinating. This is where love truly demonstrates its profound, almost magical power to dictate preferences.
How so?
Making a lover esteem a trait in the beloved that they would normally find unattractive, and then forever prefer that trait over its opposite.
Wow, so love changes what you find attractive.
Fundamentally, this, for Ibn Hazm, is a definitive sign of true, deep love. A love that transcends superficial judgments and literally rewires one's aesthetic sensibilities.
That's remarkable. Does he give examples?
He does. The book provides fascinating examples, like people developing a preference for short necks or specific mouth shapes, or even unusual hair colors, even if they generally dislike those features prior to falling in love.
Incredible.
Ibn Hazm shares a compelling personal example. He reveals that he loved a blonde girl in his youth.
Okay.
But since then, his entire nature has been so fundamentally altered by that experience that he now only finds dark hair attractive and actively dislikes blonde hair, no matter how beautiful others may find it.
So that one love permanently changed his taste.
That's what he claims. He even notes that the powerful Marwanid caliphs like al-Nasir and al-Hakam had an innate preference for blonde women, a preference that mysteriously seemed to be passed down through generations.
Wow. Suggesting love's transformative power can even shape collective aesthetic biases.
It's a striking idea. This section truly highlights the irrational, deeply transformative power of love, showing how it can rewire one's most basic aesthetic preferences, almost like a permanent mental imprint.
Yeah, it's not just attraction, it's a fundamental reorientation of what one finds beautiful. Does love truly make us blind to what others see, or does it perhaps open our eyes to a different, more profound kind of beauty?
I think Ibn Hazm would argue for the latter.
You think?
Yes. It's not a form of blindness, but rather a profound recalibration of perception. Love doesn't just make us accept perceived flaws. It makes us cherish them.
Cherish them.
It unlocks a unique and intimate appreciation for qualities others might overlook or even deem unattractive, imbuing them with profound significance and singular beauty for the beloved. It's about seeing with the soul, not just the eyes.
Once love takes root, whether slowly through long acquaintance or through that instantaneous glance, Ibn Hazm then pivots. He explores the intricate and often perilous language of lovers, right?
Yes, the hidden signals, covert messages, and daring open declarations they employ in a world often hostile to their affections.
So when direct, overt communication is impossible, lovers, he notes, resort to allusion by word, bab al-turid bil qual.
Using words indirectly.
Right. This includes the subtle weaving of poetry, cryptic riddles, or words laden with double meanings, allowing them to express their deepest feelings covertly, right under the noses of others.
He provides a truly vivid and almost cinematic anecdote from the Caliph's court to illustrate this.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
He recounts how a young man and a slave girl, both presumably aware of the dangers of open communication, used this very method. The girl sang an old poem.
Sang?
Yes, sang an old poem with exquisitely hidden allusions that subtly conveyed her deep feelings and her complaint about the young man, who she artfully described as being like a cruel judge.
Wow. And did people notice?
Well, Ibn Hazm, who was present at the time, observed this interaction and recognized the hidden meaning, a testament to his keen understanding of these unspoken codes.
It really emphasizes the intelligence, the quick wit, and the extraordinary subtlety required in such a constrained and dangerous environment to express profound emotions.
Absolutely, without revealing them directly to the uninitiated. It's a masterclass in clandestine communication.
It's a remarkable secret language that only the two of them and perhaps a shrewd observer like Ibn Hazm could truly understand.
Exactly.
And once that verbal allusion has established a tentative connection, lovers often move to an even more subtle form of communication, allusion by eye, bab al-ishar bil-ain.
The language of the eyes.
He says eye signals become a completely secret, wordless language, replacing even the need for veiled phrases.
And he gets incredibly specific and almost poetic here, detailing a complex lexicon of various eye movements and their precise meanings.
Like what? Give me an example.
A prolonged, unwavering gaze, coupled with a widening of the eye, for instance, signifies acceptance and longing.
Okay.
Rapidly averting the gaze suggests grief or profound sorrow. Glancing with the outer corner of the eye can be a subtle threat or warning.
It's all code.
It is. Glancing directly with the center of the eye poses a question. A trembling of the pupils means prohibition or refusal, and a slight closing of the eyes signifies a command.
Amazing.
He describes the eye itself as nothing less than the mirror of the soul, its guide, and its most eloquent messenger.
The mirror of the soul.
Capable of conveying complex meanings and profound sentiments that even words, with all their precision, simply cannot capture.
That's deeply romantic, almost mystical, and incredibly perceptive. It transforms a simple biological function into an art form of communication.
It really does.
So for lovers separated by distance or circumstance, correspondence, or bab al-murasala becomes absolutely vital. Letters.
Yes, letters act as a crucial substitute for direct meetings, and he emphasizes that the beauty of the letter itself, its calligraphy, its poetry, its very scent, is paramount.
The whole presentation matters.
Immensely. The arrival of a letter for a lover could bring an immense, almost overwhelming joy, akin to the rapture of a physical meeting.
I can imagine.
And its careful reading could be a profound source of delight and solace. Ibn Hazm recounts seeing a lover go to extreme lengths.
How extreme?
Actually cutting his own hand to write a letter to his beloved with his own blood.
With his own blood, wow, that's intense.
Visceral, shocking, and deeply symbolic, isn't it? It demonstrates the extraordinary, almost fanatical lengths lovers would go to communicate their devotion and passion.
Yeah, it's a testament to the depth of their desperation and the profound value placed on even the smallest connection.
Absolutely. And when trust is fully established, lovers, needing to bridge greater distances or navigate more complex situations, resort to messengers, bab al-safir.
Okay, using a third party. Risky.
Very. The messenger, he warns, must be exceptionally trustworthy, utterly discreet, eloquently articulate, and fiercely loyal. A poorly chosen messenger, he emphasizes, can bring absolute disaster to the lovers.
I bet.
He even has a powerful poem for it, a practical piece of advice couched in poetic language. Your messenger is a sword in your right hand. Do not strike with it before polishing it.
Wise words. Choose your messenger carefully.
Exactly. Intriguingly, lovers often choose seemingly inconspicuous individuals, the old, the poor, or women from specific professions like doctors, teachers, entertainers, matchmakers, or weavers, to avoid suspicion.
Because they could blend in.
Precisely. These individuals could move about society unnoticed. He also notes a particularly fascinating case where a homing pigeon was used to carry letters between lovers.
A homing pigeon. Seriously.
With a precious message tied delicately to its wing. The sheer ingenuity born of love, bypassing all human intermediaries, is truly remarkable.
It really is. Now, in the early, most intense stages of love, keeping secrets, betrayal, sir, is absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Paramount. Lovers, especially those consumed by true ish, strive desperately to conceal their feelings to avoid shame, social repercussions, or outright danger.
And the secrecy takes a toll.
Immensely. This enforced secrecy, he says, it's a source of intense inner torment, like fire in charcoal, burning painfully beneath the surface.
Why keep it secret then if it's so painful?
Well, the reasons for this profound secrecy can vary. Sometimes it's to protect the beloved from societal judgment, or because the lover, out of a sense of nobility, considers public display of such intense passion to be idle pursuits, unbecoming of a dignified person.
A matter of honor.
Yes, and Ibn Hazm makes a crucial philosophical distinction here. While love itself is portrayed as an uncontrollable, innate disposition of the heart, a divine decree perhaps.
Right, not a choice.
The lover's actions, like whether they choose to reveal their love, are very much within their control and thus subject to moral accountability.
Okay, so love happens to you, but what you do about it is your responsibility.
Precisely. He writes almost defiantly. In you, the silent and the eloquent are the same to me in love, for I care not for the words of the blamer. This suggests a fierce internal resolve to maintain the secret.
He describes a poignant scenario where a lover, utterly overcome by emotion, tried desperately to deny his feelings when confronted by his friends.
Oh, that sounds agonizing.
His physical state, however, his trembling hands, his stark paleness, his disjointed, stammering speech betrayed him completely, making him wish for death rather than this agonizing exposure.
Wow. The body tells the truth, the words try to hide.
Exactly. This illustrates that the constant battle between inner feeling and outward concealment is a defining characteristic and indeed a profound struggle of early love. Secrecy, in this context, becomes both a protection for the beloved and a sign of the lover's noble character and fidelity.
And the consequences of exposure in that society could be devastating, truly a matter of life and death. Ibn Hazm shares two particularly tragic anecdotes that highlight this peril. In one, a poet in Cordoba wrote a love poem about Sub, who was the influential mother of Caliph Almoyad.
Okay, praising the caliph's mother seems risky.
Extremely. When a slave girl, perhaps innocently, sang this poem before the powerful regent al-Mansur, he was so incensed by the perceived impropriety and danger of such an indiscretion.
What did he do?
He immediately ordered the girl who sang it to be bought and killed.
Just for singing the poem, that's brutal.
Brutal, but it shows the stakes. Even more tragically, he recounts how the entire family of a man named Ahmad ibn Muqat was almost completely eradicated.
His whole family? Why?
With only one survivor remaining, all because of his love poetry about a caliph's daughter.
Unbelievable. These anecdotes powerfully demonstrate the severe, real-world consequences of love's exposure in a rigid, unforgiving social structure.
Your passion could easily be seen as treason or a challenge to power.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which naturally brings us to the inverse of secrecy, disclosure, or Bab Alita.
When the secret can't be kept any longer.
Right. This occurs when love becomes so overwhelming, so utterly consuming, that the lover can no longer, try as they might, hide it, often acting against their own better judgment and even their self-preservation.
Overwhelming love, he says, has the power to make a lover completely lose reason, to see profound beauty even in what others perceive as ugly, and to utterly ignore social norms, personal safety, or even self-dignity.
He recounts Musa ibn Asim impulsively dropping his pen and rushing towards a girl he loved when she caught his eye.
Just abandoning his work.
Yes, an action that greatly surprised, even alarmed his father. Such unbridled disclosure, Ibn Hazm warns, can easily backfire, causing the beloved to flee in fear or leading to social ruin and utter disgrace for the lover.
So revealing your love could destroy everything.
Potentially, he offers a cautionary proverb. Do not rush openly in small matters, nor in great matters like a jester.
Wise counsel.
He recounts the story of Ahmad ibn Feth, a deeply respected Cordoban scholar known throughout society for his discretion and composure.
Okay, a serious figure.
Yet this very man openly abandoned all decorum and publicly expressed his profound love for a young man named Ibrahim ibn Jamil, becoming an immediate object of widespread gossip and scandal. A respected scholar became town gossip.
Exactly. This was, Ibn Hazm argues, a clear and undeniable sign of love's overpowering, inescapable force, not malice or a lapse in character. It speaks to love's capacity to strip away all pretense.
But sometimes this disclosure happens out of pure malice or bitter envy, right?
Yes, especially from rivals who seek to exploit the lover's vulnerability. Ibn Hazm views this particular form of disclosure as utterly despicable and dishonorable.
And interestingly, he notes that Arab women were described as distrusting a lover who openly declared his love.
Right, they instinctively preferred discretion and chastity in such matters, valuing the quiet, dignified pursuit of affection over a boisterous public display.
That preference really underscores the complex social nuances of love and reputation in his time. Now, love isn't just about whispered secrets and profound longing. It's also a tumultuous journey through trials, often involving other people who impact the lover's fate.
Absolutely, sometimes for good, sometimes for ill.
One of the most astonishing aspects Ibn Hazm discusses is the concept of obedience, bab al-ta. This sounds interesting.
It is. This describes the lover's complete, almost absolute submission to the beloved, even to the point of transforming their own fundamental character.
Transforming their character.
Now, the proud become humble, the brave suddenly timid, the rough gentle. He captures this profound shift poetically, stating, "The lion becomes a gazelle, the sword a mere branch."
Wow, so the transformation is total.
It seems so. The lover, consumed by their devotion, will accept any blame, make endless excuses for every fault, even if they are innocent, patiently enduring the beloved's anger or reproach without complaint.
He describes a specific lover who constantly received blame and punishment from his beloved, yet accepted it all without complaint.
Yes, finding solace perhaps in the very acts of submission.
That's quite a dynamic. Is this absolute obedience a true, undeniable sign of profound love? Or does it veer into a dangerous loss of self, where one's identity dissolves into the other? It seems like a very fine line.
It's an astute observation. For Ibn Hazm, this submission is not necessarily demeaning, particularly if the beloved is not one's equal in status. As he argues, it brings great reward from God, elevating the act beyond mere servility.
Okay, so there's a spiritual dimension to it.
Yes. He even shares a truly remarkable anecdote to illustrate this extreme devotion. Sa'id ibn Mundir, the revered imam of Cordoba's Grand Mosque.
The imam, a religious leader.
Yes, loved his slave girl. She, perhaps testing his love or simply being playful, insulted his large, prominent beard.
Oh dear, what did he do?
Despite his esteemed religious and social position, Sa'id ibn Mundir, due to his intense love, shaved his beard, then freed her and married her, accepting the public humiliation for her sake.
He shaved his beard for her. That's incredible. It illustrates the profound, almost unimaginable, transformative power of love.
Altering even deeply ingrained personal habits and challenging fundamental social standing. Absolutely.
He also mentions a poignant case of a lover who suffered sleepless nights and endured greatly to win his beloved.
Right.
But surprisingly, when he finally achieved union, he left her, finding no joy.
That's the counterintuitive twist. This paradoxical outcome illustrates that sometimes the pursuit itself, the longing and the struggle, is the true object, not the possession of the beloved.
Fascinating. A brief counterpoint then is Disobedience, Bab al-Mukhallafa.
Right, the opposite dynamic.
This chapter briefly describes the rare instance when a lover, having at last secured the beloved's affection and thus their emotional leverage, then asserts their own will, consciously disregarding the beloved's wishes to satisfy their own desire.
This, of course, leads to the lover's transient joy, but inevitably, the beloved's deep displeasure. A poem from the book chillingly notes, "Now that I have attained my soul's desire from a beloved who is ever ailing for me, I care not for displeasure from obedience, nor for anger."
Ouch. It's a fleeting moment where the power dynamic shifts dramatically.
Demonstrating that even in love, a struggle for individual will can arise, though it usually leads to discord.
Then there are the blamers, Bab al-Adhil, who are considered a common affliction of love, an external force seeking to interfere.
Yes, the critics. Ibn Hazm distinguishes between two types.
Okay.
A helpful blamer is a true friend who offers well-intentioned advice, particularly when the lover's passion is intense and perhaps veering towards recklessness. This kind of intervention, he argues, can actually be beneficial, a sign of true friendship.
So constructive criticism from a friend.
Exactly. Ibn Hazm recounts his own friend, Abu Sari Ammar ibn Ziyad, acting as such a helpful blamer whose clear-sighted advice proved genuinely beneficial to him during a difficult time.
But sometimes blame backfires.
Yes, and this is the fascinating paradox. Sometimes blame, paradoxically, strengthens the lover's resolve, making them defiantly cling even more tightly to their beloved and even find a perverse pleasure in disobedience.
Really? Like rebellion fuels the fire.
Precisely. He has a poem for this. The blame and censure are dearest to me, for I hear the name of him whose memory is my hope. It suggests that for some, external opposition only solidifies their conviction, turning their love into a sacred rebellion.
Which means the helper from friends, Bab al-Musaid min al-Ikhwan, is an absolute blessing.
A rare and precious gift in the tumultuous journey of love.
What kind of friend does it truly take to navigate the chaotic waters of love with you, offering genuine, unwavering support without judgment or self-interest?
The ideal friend in love is described as exceptionally loyal, utterly discreet, eloquently articulate, incredibly patient, wise, and profoundly courageous.
That's quite a list, a paragon of friendship.
Indeed, this friend acts as a trusted confidant, shares the lover's sorrows, and provides invaluable assistance in navigating the complexities of their affair.
And if you don't have such a friend?
If such a friend is absent, the lover is left to a profound solitude, speaking only to the wind or to the unresponsive earth, finding comfort solely in lamentation and deep sighs.
Heartbreaking.
Ibn Hazm makes an incredibly insightful observation here. Women, he believes, are generally better at keeping love secrets than men.
Really? Why does he think that?
Especially older women who have perhaps transcended their own romantic desires and feel a pure, unadulterated compassion for others' suffering. Young women, however, he cautions, might sometimes reveal secrets out of rivalry or sheer indiscretion.
That's quite an insight into gender dynamics of the time. He even gives a harrowing anecdote about a mistress who severely beat her slave girl to extract the name of her beloved.
Yes, but the girl endured the torture without revealing it, a testament to her immense loyalty and courage.
Amazing fortitude. And another beautiful story about a pious woman who found a love letter from a young man to a girl.
Instead of exposing them, which was the social norm.
Right, she didn't. She offered to buy the girl from her master, explaining that love's secrets, especially those of a chaste and pure love, should be protected at all costs.
It's a powerful statement about empathy and integrity.
He contrasts this remarkable discretion in women with men,
who he says are often too distracted by worldly affairs, their work, the demands of war, family obligations, and other social duties, to dedicate themselves fully and consistently to the intricate sequence of love.
making them generally less reliable confidants, in his view.
Yes, and Ibn Hazm attributes his own remarkably nuanced insights into women's nature to being raised among women from an early age, learning their deepest secrets and understanding of love firsthand.
Ah, that explains his perspective.
This unique background undoubtedly gives his observations a singular depth and authenticity.
Next, there's the observer, Bab al-Raqib, another pervasive affliction of love, almost a constant shadow, often causing immense anxiety for the lovers.
Yes, the fear of being watched. This could be an accidental observer, someone who simply happens upon the lovers, causing them profound distress and fear of exposure.
Ibn Hazm recounts a personal experience seeing two lovers who believed they were utterly alone,
Right, starting to share intimate feelings.
only for a third person to casually sit nearby, causing them immediate, palpable distress and profound anger at the intrusion.
He puts it quite vividly in a poem. No guest is heavier than one who prolongs his stay and presents a talk whose content I care not for.
Huh. Captures the irritation perfectly,
Yeah.
but then there's the more insidious type.
Yes, the intentional observer who actively tries to discover the lover's secrets, driven by curiosity, malice, or even a desire to interfere. This kind of observer, he says, is unequivocally worse than an open enemy.
Scary, but he also notes a potential, almost miraculous transformation of the observer.
Sometimes, yes, an intentional observer, through sheer pity for the lover's plight, or perhaps through a deeper understanding of the profound nature of love itself, can transform from a threat into a helper or even a protector of the lovers.
So empathy can win out.
It seems possible. His poem beautifully captures this shift. Perhaps a watchman watched my lord to distance him from me, but subtlety of command did not cease until my fear of him became safety.
Beautiful.
However, he warns that an observer who gains the lover's trust, even accidentally, can become the greatest affliction if they betray it, making them a true double-edged sword.
A dangerous position.
He even describes a fascinating scenario where two lovers themselves become observers of each other, constantly monitoring and trying to understand the other's true feelings, creating an intense, almost paranoid internal dynamic within the relationship.
Wow, love turning into surveillance.
Finally, in this cast of characters, we encounter the talebearer, Bab al-Washi.
The gossiper, the slanderer, whom Ibn Hazm describes as nothing less than poison, whose sole aim is to separate lovers and destroy their bond.
He identifies three distinct types.
Yes, three insidious types. First, the common talebearer, who reveals secrets to the beloved, aiming to undermine the lover's standing or relationship. Their efforts, he notes, sometimes fail.
Second, the malicious talebearer, who actively tries to break up lovers to gain the beloved for themselves. This, he unequivocally states, is the worst kind, driven by selfish desire and pure malevolence.
Truly despicable.
And third, the universal talebearer, who simply spreads gossip to both sides, often without a clear motive, simply out of a malicious gossiping nature, reveling in discord.
Just loves causing trouble.
Exactly. And Ibn Hazm dedicates a significant portion of this chapter to a powerful, almost impassioned condemnation of lying itself, calling it the root of all evil.
Wow, strong words.
And asserting it is worse than other sins like miserliness or cowardice. He directly quotes the prophet. A believer can be a miser or a coward, but a believer cannot be a liar.
That puts lying in a very serious category.
It demonstrates his profound moral stance against deception in all its forms, especially when it undermines the sacred bond of love. The danger of gossip, he says, is immense, a true societal ill.
How so?
Lies and tale-bearing, in his view, destroy trust, breed hatred, ruin reputations, and lead to catastrophic harm.
He even shares 2 personal anecdotes about friends who were compulsive liars.
Yes, causing him immense distress until he felt compelled to sever ties or write to them, desperately urging them to stop.
It really affected him personally.
Deeply. He describes in stark terms how lying corrupts the soul and inexorably leads to all other evils, painting a grim picture of the moral decay caused by this behavior, particularly its devastating impact on the delicate fabric of love. After navigating these tumultuous trials through all the deceptions and dangers, lovers ultimately aspire to union, Bab al-Wasfal,
The goal.
which Ibn Hazm considers nothing less than the absolute pinnacle of love. It's described as a state of continuous joy, profound security, and a renewed sense of life.
The ultimate fulfillment.
It is for him the complete fulfillment of all desires, unmatched by any earthly pleasure, any amount of wealth, or any form of power.
Is there life for me but a moment with her? He writes, capturing that intense, almost desperate desire for constant connection.
Beautifully put. The mere anticipation of meeting the beloved, even just a promised visit, is described as a source of immense, almost unbearable joy.
He shares a truly poignant and tragic anecdote to illustrate the overwhelming power of union, doesn't he?
Yes, the story of the young girl consumed by love.
Tell us again.
A young girl, utterly consumed by love for a man she could not meet, miraculously found him one night. Unable to speak a single word, overcome by the moment, she simply leaned in and kissed him on the mouth as she passed by.
Just a fleeting kiss.
Yes, but the shock and profound emotional impact of this unexpected, intimate contact caused him such overwhelming pain and ecstasy that he fell into a snare of death, succumbing to the intensity of the moment.
Wow. Killed by a kiss, essentially. That illustrates the overwhelming power union could hold.
Even to the point of being fatal. Importantly, Ibn Hazm also strongly refutes the common idea that prolonged union leads inevitably to boredom or satiation.
Oh, he disagrees with familiarity breeds contempt.
Fiercely. He argues that true, soul-rooted love only deepens and intensifies with time and continued connection. He states profoundly that he has never been quenched by the water of union and always desires more, always finds new depths.
Always thirsty for more connection.
Exactly. He describes the perfect state of love as union without observers, without blamers, without talebearers, without separation, and most crucially, without boredom. An ideal, almost utopian state.
He shares Yad ibn Abi Sufyan's beautifully simple, ideal life. A Muslim man with a contented Muslim wife, living in modest prosperity.
It's a vision of profound contentment found not in grandeur, but in harmony and simple abundance.
And within this sacred union, lovers, through shared experience, develop a unique, often unspoken repertoire of secret ways to express affection even in public.
Yes, using hidden glances, subtle touches, or barely perceptible sighs, a language known only to them.
He offers 2 fascinating and deeply intimate anecdotes to illustrate this.
Right. The first is about a friend of the author recounting a powerful, almost tactile memory of secret intimacy with his beloved under a blanket during a rainstorm.
While others were present.
Yes, present but entirely unaware. The shared secret, the warmth, the closeness, it solidified their bond in a way no public display ever could.
That's lovely. And the second one?
In another story, a young man and a girl, in a moment of extreme joy and devotion, cut their fingers to exchange blood.
Whoa, like a blood pact.
A profound symbolic act of mutual sacrifice and commitment. And she even used a piece of her valuable dress to wipe his wound, prioritizing his comfort over her own prized possession.
Incredible devotion. These anecdotes truly illustrate the profound physical and emotional intimacy unique to union, often marked by these secret, deeply symbolic acts.
Acts of devotion and shared experience. Exactly.
The opposite of union and another profound affliction of love is abandonment, Bab al-Hajr.
The dark side. Depicted as the antithesis of union, a state of profound deprivation. He describes two primary types.
Okay, what are they?
First, forced separation, which occurs due to external circumstances like travel, war, or the ever-present fear of observers. In this case, the lover still feels irrevocably drawn to the beloved, despite the physical distance, holding on to hope and memory.
So the love remains, even in absence.
Yes. The beloved might appear distant outwardly, but inwardly remains deeply attached. Second, and far more severe, is intentional abandonment.
When the beloved chooses to leave.
Exactly. When the beloved purposefully withdraws their affection, choosing to end the connection. This is presented as the first and most painful sign of a troubled relationship, leading to profound sorrow and despair for the abandoned lover.
A mournful poem asks, how can I blame separation when separation has struck me with longing? Captures the agony, doesn't it?
Perfectly. The agony of a love that endures even when unreciprocated.
And Ibn Hazm directly addresses and fiercely rejects the idea, often held by others, that prolonged union inevitably leads to boredom, which then causes abandonment.
He adamantly argues against it. For him, true love only intensifies and deepens with continued, sustained connection, never diminishing.
He recounts a deeply tragic anecdote about a friend whose love was so profound that despite physical proximity to his beloved, he lived in a constant state of internal separation due to a capriciousness, a changeable nature on the part of the beloved.
So, together but apart emotionally.
Right. This internal emotional distance, despite physical closeness, ultimately led to their inevitable physical separation by death.
A tragic testament to the idea that even physical presence cannot guarantee true union if the soul, or at least the beloved's nature, is not aligned.
It really underscores that abandonment isn't just about physical distance, it can be an emotional withdrawal, a lack of true connection even when standing side by side.
A crucial distinction.
That's a powerful point. So, is abandonment truly the absolute end of love, or can it sometimes paradoxically deepen its hold through intense longing and vivid memory, perhaps transforming the experience rather than simply ending it?
That's a deep question.
For Ibn Hazm, does the soul connection ever truly sever, even if the physical bond is broken?
For Ibn Hazm, I think while separation is undoubtedly an affliction, it doesn't necessarily spell the absolute end of the love itself, especially if that underlying soul connection persists.
So the love can live on.
The longing and the vivid memory can indeed keep the love profoundly alive, even if it morphs into a different, more melancholic, but no less powerful form. The soul, for him, endures, and with it, the potential for that profound connection, even in absence.
As we reflect on this profound deep dive into Ibn Hazm's The Dove's Neck Ring, it's incredibly clear that from the subtle dance of stolen glances to the transformative, almost mystical power of soul connections, this ancient book offers an astonishingly rich and nuanced view of love.
It really does.
It's a perspective that manages to be both deeply personal, rooted in specific anecdotes, and yet universally resonant, transcending centuries and cultures. It speaks to the human condition regardless of time or place.
His insights, drawn from a completely different cultural and historical context, powerfully remind us that while the external forms of courtship, the social pressures, and the modes of communication may change dramatically over time,
things look very different now.
The core human experience of love, with its immense joys, its profound sorrows, its intricate complexities, and its deep, often unexpected transformations, remains remarkably fundamentally consistent.
It feels utterly timeless.
He really does unpack the very blueprint of human affection in a way that feels almost archetypal.
It truly does. It's a testament to the enduring power of profound human connection. And as we conclude this particular deep dive, consider this provocative thought for your own reflection.
Okay.
If love truly originates in the soul's primal connection, as Ibn Hazm so eloquently proposes, and not just in the fleeting physical or circumstantial attractions that so often capture our attention, then what profound responsibility do we have as individuals to actively seek out, diligently nurture, and fiercely protect those rare, precious bonds that truly resonate with our deepest selves?
Regardless of societal expectations or the passage of time.
Exactly. What would the world truly look like, and how would our lives be transformed if we all lived by this ancient wisdom of the heart, striving for soul connection above all else?